What is up, everybody? I'm back with more of my father's long legs, and here we'll just jump right in. So where we left off, we were clicking on our father's house. Of course, my experiences played a part in the eventual decision. A year or so before we left my father was the last time I ventured down into the basement. Ooh. My brother was out with friends, having reached the age when he finally realized that awkwardness that resulted from bringing visitors to our home. Mother had locked the door to her room and apparently gone to bed. Father was, of course, laboring in the basement, and I was doing homework in the living room watching television. There came a knock on the door. Ooh. The man on the porch was squat but dressed neatly in a suit, coat, and hat. A pair of very small spectacles was perched on the end of his nose, looking minuscule in comparison to his large, round face. "Hello, young lady." "Oh, I'm a girl." "I didn't even realize that," he said to me in a labored voice. "Is your father home?" "Who are you?" I asked. The man tipped his old-fashioned hat on his head, smiling with rubbery lips. "You have no reason to know me, of course," he said, "but I am your uncle." "Oh, sweet. So now I have an uncle with me." I left the man on the porch, the door locked. Why, that's rude. Well, I went to seek my mother's help. Thus, I discovered she was unresponsive as she often was in those days. This left me with only the option to summon my father from the basement. Summon? Why did you say summon? Can't you just say get him? He didn't respond when I opened the door and yelled down, though I thought I could hear faintly the sound of his digging. I looked back to the front door where I could see through pebble glass the big words, no, figure of the man claiming to be my uncle, and descended the wooden stairs into the basement. The only light, as always, came from a single bulb hanging from the ceiling. My father had learned to operate in these conditions, but for me, the lack of illumination cast the labyrinth below into a mess of confusing and seemingly contracted paths of damp black earth and only slightly blacker shadow. Alright. Father had first attempted to dig straight down, but as the years went on, he labored his original plans, angling outward from the center of the basement at a depth of perhaps 15 feet. From there, he had begun to hollow out the entirety of the basement with one long looping path threaded and bent around itself like some monstrous length of all while continuing his march downward. Why is he digging? I stood at the bottommost stair that, as I thought of it, still probably belonged to our house, but my feet was a stack of unfamiliar books. They were old with a blank and wrapped around covers. Why books? Why? Did he dig so much he had to make new stairs and made them out of books? I don't know. Next to them was what appeared to be an antique child's rattle, caked with dirt and several rocks chipped into various unnatural but vaguely instrumental shapes. I turned to void and call for my father. No response came, but I grew more certain that I could hear, however distantly, the sound of my father's shovel. How far is he? I called for him again, this time giving only my purpose for interrupting his work. "There's a man at the door," I said. "He says he's my uncle." I stood and waited, and so I did. The sound of digging stopped. Okay, so finally he stopped digging. My father emerged a minute or so later, unfolding himself from the narrow bends of his maze, his pale skin covered only by the rags rags of his clothing everywhere, dusted gray with soil, including the corners of his mouth, which seemed insanely particularly and much more darkly. Your uncle, father rumbled, not quite asking a question. He then added, my brother. I nodded. Show him in, he ordered. Okay. The squat stranger, my uncle, who I remembered smelled of sour milk, seemed elated of his prospects. I led him down the basement stairs. Hit a garrety, big words, don't like him, growing exponentially until he saw my father standing at his full height. It must have been at least 8 or 9 feet tall. Holy crap! That's tall. That's like really tall. At the entrance of his renovations. I knew to take my leave, and as I ascended the stairs, I heard the visitor remark that my father seemed to have done very well for himself, all things considered. He's digging a hole to hell, apparently. Perhaps not consistently this considerately or whatever that was. This is also my last clear memory. I want money. Of my father, and one that returned to me many years later when my brother suggested we return to our father's house. Okay. It seemed my brother wanted to put his mind at ease by checking up on our father, who had been left alone for slightly longer than he had lived with him. On the one hand, I appreciated my brother's sentiment, even if I felt it was misplaced. On the other hand, I knew I could not stop him. Feeling toward father has always been lenient. The orderly question was, would I go along with him or let him make the visit on his own? Oh, God. I feel like if I make him the visit on his own, he's going to die. But if I go with him, I'll also die. I'm going to go with him. We decided upon a day to visit our childhood home, where we assumed our father still lived, and decided to meet there one afternoon following the week. But there must have been somewhere in miscommunication. Why? I was late. I must have been late. The alternative is for his own purpose, my brothers arrived early to see our father before I did. I do not wish to complain why that would be. This is a weird thing. The town was considerably less industrial than it had been through the taste of industry still laced our water and air. The old neighborhood, our old neighborhood, not the most affluent even in former times, had fallen into further despair. The houses up and down the block stood weathered, and it seemed empty. The sidewalks buckled thick prospections of sickly weeds, which reached out in the potholed street, protruding big word script, protruding fingers of the overgrown lawn. So only sign of habitation was a single car, my brother's car, parked out of the old home. I'm gonna have to end this episode here. If you like this, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next episode. Later.